Alright guys, this is the Dogman area. And I'm going to show you why. Although I can't say everything, I can show you some things. There's a tree. Can't really see it. It could have been pushed over. But whatever, it's been pushed over or it's been taken there. Can't really see it. Here, let's see if I can get it better. Alright, there's a barbed wire fence right here. Remember that. I'm going to show y'all something. And this is Texas. Alright, so there's the tree. It's not a big deal. This is what they do. It's not like Sasquatch. It's a little different, but similar. Alright, so here we go. We're going to walk it. So here's an open area, right? In the middle of this Dogman area. And I don't even like that name, Dogman. It's not what they are. But I'm going to say that for people so they know what I'm talking about. And the reason I know they're real is because I came face to face with it. And he smiled at me. And he had me. And I got lost. Not lost, but I got confused at what I was looking at. And that shouldn't have happened. I grew up with this stuff. I know this stuff. And I got confused. Looks like a step to me. Anyway, I grew up with this. I know the stories, but it's just a story until you see it. And what I saw is everything I was ever told. All at one time. And I, for some reason, did not put it together at the moment. Until I was face to face. Alright, so these, I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm telling you, these are strategic. They're doing this for a blind. Same thing I saw when I saw that smiling sucker. And for 4 years, I ain't been back to the woods or to the mountain. That's the end of that. Messed me up, man. Now look at this path. I want y'all to see this. So this is the path, if you can see in there. This is the path that should not be unless something's been through it. We can all agree on that. This is the tree right above the path that's broke. This is where it comes out to the road. Now, if you wanted to step out without being seen to look down the way or to go over to the houses, you could come right out here at night and you would be covered. Even though you think that ain't covered, believe me, it's covered for them. Okay, you can see the paths through here. There's nobody's back here. There's no animals back here, believe me. And there's no big animals for sure. Some of this you're going to have to trust me on. But I can show you some things that so-called researchers could never show you. Of course, I'm showing you so you can stay clear of this. Alright, so here's the barbed wire fence. Now look, clearly, I mean, I don't know how to tell you this, but something did this. This barbed wire fence didn't just collapse, and this big hole, you just saw all the woods back there. Now look at this. You can see this big open area. There's a place back there I wanted you to see, but anyway, if you look through there, let me see if I can get under here. Alright, so this one has been pushed down, okay? That's the path in. Okay, now they walk up here. Now that opening I just showed you, I just passed it, okay? So I'm gonna come over here. They push through this. Do you see these? One's going right, or two are going right, or whatever y'all see. And one going left. Now, I think they're set there. I don't know, I'm not going in there right now, forget that. But I will, don't worry. Now this is another blind. And these are strategically put around the houses. There's not very many of them. There's a giant one in the back. But I'm fixing to show you something that's a tail. Now here's the path. Remember, here's the path. It comes up. And it comes up here. And if you look down here, we're not going to call that an X, but we're going to just say that that's a way to get this tree, right? Although it does look like this. But this is Dogman area. They don't do exactly what Sasquatch does, but it ain't far. They're pretty similar. That's why people get confused. All right, so here's this tree, right? So this branch broke here, okay? Before we get to that branch, let's go over here. This branch, see if I can zoom into it. There you get a better camera. All right, this branch, you can kind of see, and it goes to that part of the tree, okay? Now, here's the tail. First of all, there's a stick just hovering in midair, which you know that happens. No, it doesn't. Anyway, here's the tail. This branch right here is tied backwards in a knot. See, there's the backwards curve, and there's the tie. Now, that's important. I'm not going to tell you why it's important, but believe me, it's important to tell you where you are. Certain things you can't talk about, man. Believe me. And this is to help people from getting caught in the woods. People who go out there because some researcher told them dumb crap about Sasquatch. They go look, then they end up in the wrong spot. And this thing smiled at me in a different state and followed me home. I don't care what anybody says, I'm telling you, he followed me to my house. And I recognize this because this is what I do. I don't document it except for myself. But I've been doing this a long time, man. It ain't about money for me. I want y'all to understand that it is very real and to not play in the woods. But you have to know what you're looking at. Some things, even I'm like, well, it could have felt that way. But when they tie off the tie it's important. Now, it's your job to understand why they do that. And here's the path in case y'all want to see it. Just to let y'all see the silly researcher talk that Sasquatch walked the power lines because it's easier. Really, if Sasquatch was an ape, then why you keep putting yourself in their place? It's easier for us to walk the power lines, not for them. Nothing's hard to them. They do this like nothing. It's hard for us. And if they're an ape, why you keep comparing yourself to them? You're not an ape. If you think that, you've never seen one. Or you've never seen one up close. That's all I got to say about that. You've never seen what they can do. Now look, this is not a big deal, right? But nobody comes back here. I promise you. I can show you, but here's the path. If you look at that tree, I've already done this, but this is that so-called, what researchers who've never seen a Sasquatch, by the way, tell you they do. Stupid. Yeah, if I've never seen some, how could I possibly know what they do? Irritating. Anyway, whatever. They're making money. I guess that's what they care about. That ain't my thing. Of course everybody wants to make money, but this is about information. Alright, so we don't have porcupines here, by the way. Just in case you see some trees like this. Well, that's not a good example, but trees that have been eaten on. It's not a porcupine. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Just think for yourself. I'm not going to tell you. Think about what could do this. Break up. This is a healthy tree. You can see it's fresh. Well, pretty fresh. Both these branches are gone. That's ripped. Now, where are the branches? Is that them? No, well, no, it's not. That's too fresh for those to be on. Hold on, let me take you to this other blind just to give y'all an idea of what I'm talking about. Now they're strategic. There's one in front of every house, which there's very few houses, by the way. These breaks, they're not breaks. They're tore down. There's from weight, something pulling it down and stopping. Not from. We did have an icy day, but they were not broke then. They were broke way after that. Here's the other blind. Now look at that hole. Perfect hole. Here, let me show you. Perfect hole to stand in or to kneel in, and here would be your blind. You can see everything that direction. Now at night, that's important. They don't have to do that, but I guess if you live out here, you might get bored too. These vines are important when you're dealing with Dogman too, by the way. Sticker vines. There's one of the trees through the other tree. They do similar things to Sasquatch. I think that's the confusion. I don't know. But I do know they're real. I promise you that. I don't care what anybody tells you. Sasquatch researchers want you to believe, they want other people to believe that Sasquatch is real. But they don't believe that Dogman's real. That's insane. That's just insane. Only Sasquatch exists. Sasquatch ain't supposed to exist either. Of course they do. And there is a Sasquatch area, a big area, where they stay. It's not here, I promise you. And I'll take you to it, but they built it in such a spot that you either have to walk 10 miles around or go through a swamp. It's not a bad swamp, but for us, as soon as you step, you sink. So it's got to dry out a little bit. So I'm going to go deeper in here, and I promise you, in these woods, I'm telling you before I ever go in there, there's a nest. So I'll go in there and find it. Yep. See, these are important. I grew up on this stuff. This was normal. Like, I never thought it was weird till all this finding Bigfoot stuff came out. And I thought, what, people don't see them? How do you not see them? How do you not know? I don't understand. I always knew. It was normal. These were people that lived in the mountains. And they do not do what Dogman did. There is a clear difference. Not that clear, I guess, if you don't know. But it's clear to me. And if you'll listen, just listen. All you gotta do is listen. You ain't gotta believe nothing. Just listen, and if you're ever in the woods, what's that? If you're ever in the woods and you see what I'm going to show you, you'll know to walk away. Very simple. And I'm not a so-called researcher either, so don't even think that. I'm trying to help. Because I got caught, and I know what I'm doing. I was out there I don't know. I don't want to tell the whole story, because if you tell the whole story, you got to relive it. And I'm not even a scared person, but I'm telling you what, I left the woods for 5 years, and I haven't been back till now. And I'm barely back now. I'm not digging it, I tell you that. Woods used to be my peace. Sasquatch don't bother you. There are younger, teenage ones that don't really, they don't care for us. But mostly, they do not bother you. And all these people that say Sasquatch almost got me, and I got away, you didn't get away. I hate to tell you. They allowed you to leave. And the reason they scared you, maybe, is because something else was in the woods. You know? Think about it. If they want you, you're a guy, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. I don't care how tough you think you are. Listen, when he popped out in front of me, he was behind the blind just like this. Except for it was more like that one. And I was standing in a ditch. I'll tell you a little bit. Standing in a ditch. Alright, so I went down there doing Sasquatch stuff. I saw a bunch of trees that had been... I saw an area where a big fight had happened. So I followed it. I tracked it backwards. And I went to a spot. And the odds of me finding this spot is really slim to none. Because there's a million spots I could have went to. But I happened to go to the right spot. Now, isn't that interesting? Anyway. And I saw a giant nest. And I saw everything I'd ever been told by the elders. Everything. All in one shot. And I was still like confused a little bit. I was like, this isn't Sasquatch. But, and I did. Dogman ain't supposed to be there. Something's changed. They were not supposed to be there. That was legend of back in the old days. They're not supposed to be there anymore, and somehow they're back. Anyway, so I left, I started to leave, and I noticed something in the woods, so I went to take a picture, and I stood in a ditch. Dumbest thing I ever did. I don't even know why I did that. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, and I heard the leaves crunching. Somebody walking. Now, it wasn't a Sasquatch because their stride's different. They can walk softly, but they can shake the ground, obviously. I think people who know. But it was a normal human stride, so I stood there and waited. But there was no humans in this area, so I don't know why I did that. But I did. And I was standing beside a giant tree with the blind, just like that, except for it was a little higher in there. It's probably like this, but it had way more leaves on it. And the footsteps stopped, and I knew something was behind that tree, but I stood there and waited for it to step out. Like, what the hell? I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it was a human. I didn't know why he was walking up to me. You know, hindsight, obviously, but like I said, Dogman ain't supposed to be there. If I knew they were there, I wouldn't have been standing there. Anyway, he stepped out, and I was in a ditch, and the first thing I noticed was his feet and the claws. And I looked up, I panned up, and he smiled at me. And I say he gave me a head nod to come here, you know. But I think he was looking, now that I think back to it, I think he was looking to his left. So it might not have been a head nod, but definitely smiled at me. And I knew I was God, and he knew I knew I was God. And then he put, you know, he wanted me to feel fear, and I felt it. It's just the way it is. I ain't scared to say. And then the nightmares. And then he followed me home, and that's a problem. When I'm in your area, that's one thing. But when you come to my house, now we got a problem. And of course, everybody, you know, of course, if you tell somebody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, they think I'm nuts, but whatever. That is what it is. It's probably better. I don't know if it's better to know or not to know. I personally think it's better to know. That's why I'm telling it. If you're in the woods, man, and you're a hunter, you better pay attention. Because he smiled at me and he's been, you know, I'll show you pictures. I got pictures. I got many pictures. I'm just now starting to document it only because, like I said, he came to my house. And there's certain things I'm not going to say. Because you just can't do that. You'd be surprised at who knows this. And if you think nobody knows this, then you're wrong. And I don't even know why a researcher would say nobody knows. How could they possibly know what everybody knows? Where do you think these legends come from? You think they come out of midair? No. People know this. They just ain't telling it. Because you just can't do that.